Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so you'll see that the Kenopanis has two invocations. We'll address each one separately. And many of you will, of course, be familiar with the first invocation. This invocation is chanted before class. Merrily, we've been chanting this invocation since even those of you who are there at Fall of the Human Intellect. Same invocation. Now, the question arises why these invocations are there. And you may say, well, why do we even chant the invocation before class? What's the purpose of it? And what you have to appreciate is that throughout the day, we are in the world engaging with worldly matters, as it were. We all have our jobs to do. We all have our obligations to fulfill within the world. And we are in the world, so it's understandable. The philosophy of life and living, the philosophy of Vedanta, is a subtle philosophy. So one way you can look at it is we're constantly engaging our gross intellect in the world to decide, to determine, to figure out what we need to do, choice of action. So we're constantly employing the gross intellect in our worldly activities, in our mundane affairs. Should be employing the gross intellect. Now we come to discussing the reality, the truth, God, as it were. So you will appreciate there's a certain shift that needs to happen. We need to move from this mundane world of experience and shift our attention and shift our thinking, as it were, to something far subtler. So the invocation before class, before a teaching, helps us do this. It's like shifting gears, as it were. I remember the guy I stay with, Michael. He just got the new car, right? And you know, some of these cars, they have this is automatic. So they got you know, the neutral and drive and reverse. All that is there, right? But this must be a fancy car, because drive is there, but under drive is S. I was very interested to know, what does this S mean? Okay, drive is there, but something extra from drive. What is this drive? So I was with his daughter. Daughter hadn't been in the car either. I hadn't been in the car. He just brought the car home from the showroom and threw the keys. I said, "What a nice car." He said, threw the keys. He said, "Take it for a drive. Take Sophia with you." I said, "Sure, okay, let's check it out." So we jumped in and off we went, driving around the block. And we both, I said, "Do you see that S there?" She said, "Yeah, I see that." She goes, "I think maybe it's a speedy or sporty or something. Should we try it?" "Oh yeah, let's try it." So we pushed down one more into S. All of a sudden, accelerator, you're accelerating. Next thing, you're really accelerating. We shot forward. I said, "Okay, it's a bit exhilarating. And we'll go back down to D. Oh, that's safer anyway. I don't want to, you know, crash the guy's car who's just got a new car." So anyway, that shift, drive is one thing, sport drive, something else. Exactly like that. No, not exactly like that, but it's a shift in gears. You have to reposition your thinking. See, if your head and mind is all caught up in mundane affairs and you aren't able to make that shift, you're not going to gain anything. You're not going to benefit anything. So that invocation settle, and even we chant the mantras, and that's also quite useful. I see some people, they know mantras are chanting. I can sign in 5 minutes late. Oh, it's 5 minutes. I haven't missed anything. But actually that invocation and the mantra chanting, it just helps us make that transition, as it were. That transition into this higher thinking. So that's the reason we chant it. Merrily chanting all this time. But now, what does actually the chant mean? So you'll find that the chant itself starts with Om. Many of you will recall from the Vedanta treatise, the whole, I don't even know if, I think it's a section, I don't think it's a whole chapter, but there's a whole section on Om. Elaborate details that go. I'm not going to get into all that details. If you want to refresh your knowledge, you can go back and have a look. But essentially what Om represents, it's an ideal sound. It's an ideal that represents it's an idol, it's a sound idol, as it were. See, often we think of idol and we think of idol in the sense of, a cross or a crescent or a statue or something more tangible. But even fire itself is an idol. In fact, most religions worship fire because it's the first element that can be seen. You'll find many of the religions worship fire. They have fire worship because the first element that can be seen. So fire itself is an idol. What does that idol represent? It represents that ideal. Same with Om. There's much more to Om, obviously, but Om represents the ideal. What is that ideal? The ultimate reality. So Om is representative of that ultimate reality. So when they start with Om, it's aligning your thoughts and your intentions to the achievement of that. So when you all sit here and you start Om, sets the intention. I'm not here for anything else but to get back to where I belong. That intention is established in that chant Om. That's the idea anyway. I don't know what everybody is thinking when that Om comes. Maybe, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I'm in the right place here. But that's what it should be. And again, the chant Om is not just by the teacher. The teacher and the student chanted together. So even at the academy, Swamiji is chanting, we're all chanting with him. In fact, that's how it's meant to be. The student and the teacher both chanted together. Not just Om, but the entire invocation. So I would recommend that you all learn it. Obviously, you guys are muted. So you shouldn't feel bad that what if my chanting is terrible, What if someone hears me? Nobody in class is going to hear you. Only your people around there where you are going to hear you. And that's okay. I'm sure you've embarrassed yourself in other ways in front of your family. They don't mind. So some bad chanting can be there and it's okay. But at least get into that spirit, Get into that spirit of chanting, at least the invocation. In many verses we are told to learn, and it's tricky, it is, granted, especially for English speakers. Sanskrit, Hindi is tough language. But a few things you should get, at least the word Vedanta, at least that. People are still saying, I know, Craig, your Vedanta classes are amazing Vedanta classes. I was like, what is Vedanta? How long have you been coming to class? It's Vedanta. In fact, the V is a little silent. And it's more like a W. You see, in Sanskrit, Indian language, that V is not like we say, Vedanta. It's Vedanta. Like W. But I'm not going to get into that. Just at least that word, Vedanta, at least get that right. And then you change something. Om, everyone can do Om. In fact, I think even a deaf person can chant that Om. They've done some studies. It's amazing. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much here. So, Om sets that intention. Where are we going? We're going back to the reality. We're going back to where we belong. So, that's how the invocation starts. Om Sahana Vavatu. Sahana Vavatu. May he protect us both. Sahana Bhunaktu. May he cause us to enjoy. Saha Viryam Karavavahe. May we both strive together. Tejas vi na vadi tamastu. May our study become brilliant. Ma vid vishavahe. May we both, may we not become disputatious. Om, peace, peace, peace. So we'll break them all down. So he starts, Om Sahana Vavatu. May he protect us both. Protection against what? Remember, this was communicated in the jungles. So all the protection they needed. Wild animals are there, things that bite, things that sting, rain, all of that. So may he protect us both. Protect in the sense, protect against any impediment. So, Sahana Vavatu, may nobody come and disturb me during this time. Anything that you can put it in a modern day context, any impediment. Again, may he protect us both. It won't save you if you've left your phone off silent. See, you've got to establish that environment for yourself too. Who was chatting with? Derek. Derek, this class is for you, my friend. If you had known that this class was coming, then you wouldn't have had to, we wouldn't have had to meet. This is all about prayer. Essentially, it's a prayer. Invocation is a prayer. So now we are saying, may he protect us both. Protection against impediments. Nothing, if you look at modern day context, so many things are there to impede our study of the subject. This one phones and wants to meet. Then we got ESCOM problem. Then we got mental problem. We're too distracted. So may he protect us. Establishing this attitude of surrender, but also an earnestness. There's this earnestness, and this is why I ask protection. Listen, I'm dead keen on getting this. Please don't let anything disturb me. See, what you need to appreciate is there's a seriousness about this subject. It's very serious. What we are doing is the very serious thing that we are aspiring to understand. So in that earnestness, in that seriousness with which we are approaching the subject, please let no impediments come. That's what they're asking. Because we've understood the importance of this. In fact, nothing else really matters. Nothing else matters. This is the only thing that matters. The problem is, we think everything else matters more. This comes when there's time, if there's time, if I'm having a good day, if the stars are aligned, not full moon, half moon. This is the only thing that matters. It's the only reason you are here, actually. Why are you here in this world? The only reason you are here is to exhaust your vasanas and get back home. Anything that is not in its original form or shape is constantly striving to get back to its origin. We use that example of the spring and of the cane. The river is flowing with one goal: to get to the ocean. We are going through life, this flow of experiences, in order to get back to the reality. There's nothing else we're meant to be doing here. No, but there's this, and I've got to do this, and yes, do all that. We're not saying don't do that. You gotta function within this world of limitation with an understanding that all this is going on, that's fine. But I know what I'm really doing here. We have to understand this subject. So when you approach it with this seriousness, with this earnestness, with this dedication, you're almost commanding nature, as it were. Remember, in the jungles, you're commanding nature. Don't disturb me. Listen, even you, nature, don't disturb me. This is important. Asking. We often talk about prayer. In prayer, asking God for something is what we call as license beggary. No, God, please, I need help with this job application. Oh God, I need help with a family member, very ill, got cancer, please take it away. You're begging God for what? For something. You say, well, how is this any different? You're asking God for this and that and the next thing. See, it's chanted together, right? So it's not that they're asking individually. It's not that they're personifying that prayer. In fact, the whole prayer is to establish that sense of surrender, that sense of devotion in a way. It's just to establish the right climate in order that you may receive the knowledge. So not that they're actually asking, no, give me this, give me that. They're just trying to create the right environment, mental atmosphere in order to take the knowledge. So may he protect us both. Sahana bhunaktu, may he cause us both to enjoy. See, as well as the subject being a serious inquiry into truth, it shouldn't be that is not enjoyable. Every Wednesday, I know I should do this, but drudgery. Or maybe there I'm thinking, Wednesday, I have to face these people again. What am I going to tell them now? Drudgery. No, it should be enjoyable, at least something you look forward to. That's not to say it becomes a circus. Of course, we punctuate it with a little bit of humor, and that it's just should be something that we can enjoy together. So a sense of enthusiasm develops. You're as enthusiastic as the master is to communicate the knowledge, the student is that enthusiastic to receive the knowledge. So again, it's both playing their part within the transference of this knowledge. Saha viryam karavavahe. So may he protect us both. May we both enjoy. Karavavahe, may we both strive together. So again, this striving of the teacher and the striving of the student. See, what you must appreciate is there's a motto. The motto of life is to strive, to struggle, not to succeed. Not to succeed means don't be bothered about the results. In fact, the joy of life is in the striving and the struggling. So what he's saying is that we should both strive together. There needs to be a commitment of effort in trying to understand. You see, everyone thinks about, well, I understand. Will I get it? How many classes do I need to attend until I really get it, Craig? You see, then you are looking at the result. Don't bother about the result. The joy of anything comes in the work, in essence, in the striving, in the struggling, not in the result. We've placed so much importance on the result of our actions that we've lost the joy in our actions. Nobody is bothered about the work that is required. Everybody just wants the end result, and that end result is success. Everyone just wants success, but no one wants to do anything for it because they believe that the joy is in the success. What they're saying here is the joy is in the striving. When you can shift your perspective to accommodate that thought, then work becomes worship. Then you may say, times are hard, working, every day, working. I don't know, what better life is there? Because all day your life is joy. Work is worship. The joy is in the striving. The joy is in the working. Everyone believes now, I want to get away from that to enjoy. He just the nava the tumastu. May our study become brilliant. What is this brilliance? Tejas. Tejas the brilliance. Brilliance is the unfoldment of the self. The self is often referred to as brilliant. Like, you look at the sun, and the sun is described as it was a brilliant light. I don't remember what Upanishad it is, but they refer to that brilliance of the self as 1,000 suns. One sun is hard enough to look at. Imagine 1,000 suns. That's the brilliance of the self. So when you unfold that self, you become brilliant. It also means clarity. You develop a certain clarity. The more into the subject you get, the more understanding you develop, the more brilliant you become. Literally, but also in the sense that you are able to see things clearly. There's a clarity in which you can approach things because you understand the mechanisms behind everything. You have a foundation of knowledge that supports a vision of clarity. So brilliance, not only in unfolding the self, but also in clarity of thought, which again, employment of gross intellect and the spiritual disciplines to remove the vasanas. The vasanas are that which dullens us, like the brass pot. The brass pot is covered in tarnish. It's dull. So you apply the brasso and it's brilliant. What does the brasso do? It removes that tarnish. I think that's the word. The pot's tarnished. So you remove the tarnish with the brasso. What's left is brilliance, exactly like our personality. That brilliance of the self is tarnished by the vasanas. It's not really the self, cannot be tarnished, but in this limited human experience, this is what is communicated. This is what's happening to us, or what has happened to us. Ma vit vishavahe. May we not become disputatious. So often in the communication of the knowledge, it's not only difficult to communicate, but it's also sometimes difficult to understand, especially when the ego starts getting involved. So he says, let us not become disputatious, in the sense that, yes, we should be able to engage in a healthy discussion, but it's not that I am right and you are wrong, and I don't agree with you. No, this is not what I've been taught. Nothing like that. So there should not be this dogmatic stance that anybody takes in the approach to the subject. As difficult as it is for the student to understand, it's as difficult for the teacher to teach. He's got to find ways and means of communicating the knowledge so that the student is able to receive it. So in that transaction, let us not have a clash of egos. Let there not be any disputation. Then he ends shanti. And slowly it gets, each chant gets softer and softer. So peace. Again, the shantis are symbolic, and they each represent the appeasement of various sources of disturbance that interfere with our learning. So the first one, shanti, is said loudly, and this is addressed to the adidevikam, which is the cosmic disturbances. So you have these massive cosmic disturbances, lightning and thunder and wind all blowing. All of these things, cosmic disturbance, far away. So shanti addresses that. That's why you got to shout, shanti, far away. Appease those, right? Then the next one is softer, shanti, adibhautikam. These are environmental intrusions. So back then, could have been one scorpion coming and disturbing, one snake coming through. Now, whatever, it could be the television or the mobile phone or the pet or whatever it is coming and disturbing you. So softer, because it's in your environment, it's close by you. The final one, shanti, softly, adi yatmikam. So this is addressed to your own body, your own mind, the inner disturbances. That's why it's chanted in a whisper. So shanti, shanti, shanti. Smaller and smaller and softer and softer and softer. Okay.
Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakaroda Nirakaranam Asma Nirakaranam Mestu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishadsu Dharmaste Mahi Santu Te Mahi Santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So again, starts with Om. Apyayantu mamangani vak prāṇaśchakshu śrotramato balamindriyani chasarvani. May my limbs, speech, prāṇa, vital air, eye, ear, and also my senses grow in strength. So, limbs, may my limbs grow in strength. Now, what has limbs got to do with knowledge? When he says limbs, he's referring to the body. See, this is the style of the Upanishads. They'll just use one thing to represent them all. So limbs represents all aspects of the body. So, may my limbs grow in strength. Again, what has limbs got to do? What has a fit body got to do with the intake of knowledge? You may say, knowledge is intellect, and Brahma Vidya is understanding the truth of life. What has it got to be doing with fitness? You see, when you're sitting and you're trying to take in knowledge, imagine you are not being looking after yourself. One ache here, one pain there. It's a distraction. Even what it actually represents, it's preparing you. Everything is a preparation for meditation realization. So it's preparing you. Imagine you're sitting, you've done all the work. You've cleansed all the vasanas, and then you finally get to that point, sit in meditation. But you haven't looked after the body. Aches and pains. How can you realize the self? That's the absolute ideal. Take it relatively. No, I can't study in the morning. Why? Because I can't sleep. Why? My back aches. See, everything knock on. So that's why we place so much importance on just maintaining the body. We're not saying become Mr. Universe, Mrs. Universe, or any of that. Just maintain the body. They're even at Academy, 1 hour exercise. Some people do more. The yoga and exercise. 1 hour, 45 minutes, I think, for both. Some people need more exercise, some less, depending on predominance of that physical aspect of your nature. So the point is just keeping the body fit. May my limbs, body, grow in strength. May they be fit. Speech. Speech is refers to the organs of action. Prāṇa. Prāṇa represents life's activities, the subtle activities. Inhalation, exhalation, digestion, excretion, all of that. So may they be primed. See, so many things you got to look into, and that's why we talked about the qualified student. See, you're not bothered about breathing, bothered about any of your prāṇas. Whatever I throw into the body, it'll digest, doesn't matter, doesn't make a difference. Inhalation, exhalation, prāṇa, apāna. It goes further than the breath. What are you bringing in? What are you putting out? All of that, let it be purified. Let it grow in strength. So prāṇa is the vital air. Eye, ear, and also all my senses grow in strength. So everything is looked into. May all those things be, all it's saying is maybe they be most conducive so that I can pursue this knowledge. That's all it's saying. Sarvam Brahma. So sarvam Brahmanipashadam. Everything is Brahman of the Upanishads. So whatever you perceive, whatever you feel, whatever you think, whatever is this terrestrial world is actually nothing but Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. This is the declaration of these Upanishadic masters, that all that you're experiencing is nothing but Brahman and Brahman alone. Maham Brahmanira Kuryam. May I not disown Brahman. Disown Brahman in the sense, may I encapsulate that intellectual conviction that is required to pursue this truth. I don't want to forget about this. Disown Brahman. Forget about, is that going to help you in life? What is Brahman going to help you? No, you got to get out there. You got to work. You got to do whatever. Brahman and all that, wait for retirement. No. You must maintain that intellectual conviction to pursue this truth. See, one that is, I'm not sure. Brahman, maybe I do Brahman 2022. If I don't have a good year, I'll see how it goes to start off with. If not good, Brahman can wait. See, vacillating, fickle-minded. You won't progress. No chance of progressing. Mama Brahma Nirakarod. May Brahman not disown me. So where we had first, may I not disown Brahman. Now let Brahman not disown me. This is the first one was intellectual appeal. This is a more devotional appeal. What he's saying is that this sort of devotional appeal, may the Supreme God not deny my desire to reach him. Let he not deny that. That's all that's essentially being said. May there be no disownment of Brahman. May there be no disownment by Brahman. So again, it's an elaboration of what was already said. May I not disown Brahman, intellectual appeal. May Brahman not disown me, devotional appeal. May there be no disownment of Brahman. May there be no disownment by Brahman. So not only that I should not give up this intellectual pursuit, nor Brahman deny me, but may all of us take up this pursuit. In fact, everybody's life, whether you accept it or not, is in the pursuit of truth, is in the pursuit of reality, is in the pursuit of that absolute state of peace and happiness. We've discussed this at length. You will not rest content until you hit there. So may we all strive for that. And may Brahman not prevent us from reaching there, in essence. It's essentially an indication of one's selfless nature, to include everyone. You see, these students have risen to such a height of selflessness that they can't sit there just thinking of them getting there. They want to include entire humanity to get there. Ātmani nirate ya Upanishadsu dharma ste mai santu te mai santu. So may the virtues of the Upanishads repose in me, being devoted to that Ātman. May they repose in me. So the invocation, the prayer ends with that element of conviction, with that element of confidence that is required from a student in order to attain self-realization. Again, you mustn't forget the context. Here is a qualified student that's almost there. He's literally on the border of gaining that. All he needs is that little bit of something from the guru, something from the master that's going to tip him over into that transcendental reality, into that fourth state of consciousness. So he's done all the homework. The student has done all the homework. He's climbed all the way up, you know, like the high diving board. It's a solid. It's climb, and it got to the end. Now all that's left to do is almost just to fall off the edge. That is tethering on the edge. He just needs that little extra help from his coach. Oh, just jump. And he goes over. So a fully prepared student. Again, essentially he's saying, listen, I've done all the work, I've done all the homework. Now just give me that Brahman. What is that reality? What is that truth? And not that he's demanding. He's actually commanding. I want that truth. Again, Shanti, we've covered. Represents those varying aspects of disturbances that he's asking for freedom from. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So
केनेषितं पतति प्रेषितं मनः केन प्राणः प्रथमः प्रैतियुक्तः केनेषितां वाचमिमां वदन्ति चक्षुश्रोत्रं कौ देवो युनक्ति.
by whom willed and directed does the mind alight on objects? Endowed by whom does the primeval prāṇa vital air function? By whom willed does speech originate? What spirit indeed directs the eye and ear? So, remember, we said that the Upanishads is like a Q&A, question and answer session. Guru to disciple. So here, and you can see by the quality of the question, the quality of the question qualifies the student. That's how we know the caliber of the student. See, he knows everything about the prāṇas, the vital airs. Essentially, what the question boils down to is, okay, something is driving the functioning of the mind, the functioning of the prāṇas, functioning of the body, functioning of all systems. That I understand. The world I've understood. But what is that beyond the world? This is what the student wants to know. He's not asking, some problem is there with the wife, keeps on bugging me, nagging me. How can I appease her? Or, this boss and this work I'm doing, I don't think I'm in my swadharma. There's none of that. Straight to the point. What is that? What is that enlivens all of that? This is essentially what the student is asking. You see, and there's three types of students. that approach a master. Fascinating. When you see them, you'll understand. The first type of student goes to a master to show the master how much he knows. They'll quote left, this, right, that, in the question itself. But in this Upanishad it says, but then if you go to this verse by Arishankaracharya in Bhajagovindam, verse 23, he says this, and then over here, long elaborate all everything he knows. So how do we correlate that? He wants to go and show the master how much he knows. First type of student. Second type of student is just going there to poke, to test the master, how much the master knows. Not interested in learning. He's just going to prod. Oh, how much does this guy really know? More just curiosity. No real desire to learn anything. Finally, the ideal student is one that, with all devotion, with all sincerity, comes to learn. This is the Upaniṣads student. Sit below near. Only one Upanishad student tonight is Jess, because Jess is here. Sit below near. She's sitting same level. So if done, then perfect Upanishad student. So again, you'll notice that we don't call it these as verses. They're called as mantras. And what you're going to appreciate, there's a clear difference you'll start seeing as we go through. We've just done 4 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. You'll see the style of writing and what's conveyed in those. Now, when you get into the Upanishads, you're going to see it's a lot more condensed, very direct, very to the point. In fact, at a lot of times, very cryptic, which is why we need the commentary to really understand. Otherwise, anyone picks up an Upanishad, very, very difficult to understand. So you need that interpretation. You need the help of a teacher to help convey these. So these are mantras. They're not verses. They are mantras. Succinct, pithy statements or sentences. The reason they are such is so that the student can reflect and contemplate upon them. It's meant for your own reflection and contemplation. No spoon feeding here. Remember we talked about the original tattvamasi, where the student goes to the master and the master only says tattvamasi, that thou art. It's because it was designed for the student to go and contemplate on that. Same as the Upanishads. Of course, all Vedanta is meant to be contemplated, reflected upon. But this requires a lot more application to understand the real subtle import of it. And the real subtle import of it is that you are the self. You are that truth. You are the reality. And this is the declaration of all Upanishads. That's why we don't have to do them all, because you do a few and you got it. All are saying essentially the same thing. So how do we know this person is qualified? You see, he's already talking about the Panchakoshas, these 5 sheaths. All of you should know by now, there are 5 sheaths covering the human being. Annamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheath. So there's the Annamaya Kosha, food sheath, the Pranamaya Kosha, the prana, vital air sheath, Manomaya Kosha, mind, Vijnanamaya kosha, knowledge, intellectual sheath, and bliss sheath. Bliss sheath refers to the vasanas because it's closest to the self. So he's asking, what are these? Go back to the verse here. Endowed by whom does the primeval prāṇa vital air functions? What allows the vital airs to function? That inhalation, that exhalation, that digestion, that excretion is going on from the moment of birth up until that point just before death, is going on, meticulously functioning. Who's driving that? Who's operating that? How is it functioning? What is behind it? That I want to know. By whom, willed and directed, does the mind alight on? See, the mind is functioning, the intellect is functioning, the prāṇas are functioning, the body is functioning, the subtle intellect is functioning. How is it all functioning? What causes it to function? What is enlivening the sense organs of perception and action to function? Who is enlivening the speech? I'm speaking, right? Where's the speech coming from? Ah, it's coming from the voice box. And that's coming from signals from your brain. And that's easy. We know that. It's coming from your desire to speak. And that, Craig, you thought you could catch us, but you've taught us well. That's coming from the vasanas. And that, what enlivens the vasanas? Back. Who's creating all of this? How's it all functioning? This is the question. See, essentially what he's saying is the students understood everything. Everything in this, he's got perfect knowledge of the mechanism, the interrelationship between the world and himself. Remember, the human being is spirit and matter. So the student has understood everything matter. He now wants to understand spirit. What is that spirit? By whom? That's how I refer to it. By whom? What spirit indeed directs the eye and ear? Shrotram ka udevo yunakti. Again, Kena, Keneshitam. That's how we get Kenopanis. First word of the Upanishad is Kena. So we call it Kenopanis. Kena, by whom? Keneshitam. By whom willed? By whom wished? This is the question.